Kylie, it has not been a fun winter for just about everybody. It has felt long. It has felt cold. We got spoiled for a couple of years. And so it's pretty easy, especially in southwestern Ontario, when you get into January and February and you're not counting sunny days, you're counting instances of sunshine. There's the sun. That's one. Oh, there it goes again. All right, still one. When we're
Yep.
doing that, it's easy to kind of feel off, to kind of feel low sometimes, to kind of feel like you're in a slump. And then you get a bright sunny day and you think, ah, and then the next day it's back to trying to count instances of sun again. And that's just where we are weather-wise, where we are in the calendar. But slumps are a real thing, and you can just not feel right. You've taken a look at this. How do you look at getting out of a slump?
Yeah, like many people this year, I was feeling a bit of a February feeling, a little bit icky, and was kind of taking some reflection on wanting to open up the conversation around getting out of a slump. And I didn't want it to come across as a big motivational, like there's one way to do this, because I find everybody has their own way of picking themselves up after they've been feeling low. But as I reflected on the two common paths that people tend to take, it's either the first way, you kind of surrender to the season, you're working with a bit of small efforts over time to slowly start to build up as maybe the sunshine comes out to a point that you feel like you're ready to be back in action and doing things that you like to do. And the other path that people tend to take is just pure grit, yanking yourself out of that feeling, setting a super ambitious goal, changing your habits completely overnight. And sometimes this isn't possible, but if it is, sometimes it'd be really helpful for some people to fully shock the system and do that. So I think there's two ways to go about
The second one sounds a little harder. So let's take that and put it on the shelf for a
it.
second because that involves a big goal. That involves maybe making some major changes. What you just said about the first one, little small things you can
Hmm.
do. What would you look at there?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power in being consistent. I think it's very easy at the beginning of the year to set very lofty goals. That tends to happen with all of our resolutions that I'm going to make these big changes in my life. And then 6 weeks in, you're thinking, maybe not. Maybe I don't actually want to do that. So, as much as small habits can feel almost mundane when you integrate them into your life, over time, that consistency and integrating them into your daily routine can actually be something that's really, really valuable. Something that I experienced personally last year, being a new grad, starting my new work journey, my entire life was work. And that's all I was used to because my entire life was school prior to that. So I realized that it was very difficult when my life was just centered around one thing to pull myself out of some lower lows that can happen as a new grad. And what I decided to do was just spend a little bit more time investing in hobbies as the months went on. So allocating 1 extra hour a week, trying a new thing here, trying a new sport, meeting with new friends, going to an event. And these habits over time, although small, gave me a bit more time to what I call play outside of work because we don't get recess anymore. It's kind of a bunch of free will as a new grad, and you have no idea what to do with it. So, exploring these new activities and kind of playing with my routine allowed me to then have a bit of a mental shift around what's important, what can I make time for, and has ultimately prevented a lot of slumps in the long run now because I have a bit of a different frame to the way I approach my life that makes me happier overall.
And you're alluding to the old work-life balance as well, where depending
Hmm.
on what you do, it's pretty easy to make work a whole lot of your day, more than the 50-50 work-life balance that I think
Hmm.
people try and shoot for. So in picking up those new things and doing those new things, does it give you a break from work or does it maybe just prevent work from getting into that area of your life?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because there's almost a way that people see their hobbies as a distraction from work, where it's either, oh, I'm doing work or I'm doing something that I like. And I don't really like that dichotomy because I love what I do. I think people should strive to find a job that allows them to be passionate during their 9 to 5 or whatever commitment your job gives you. But knowing that your life can be so vibrant outside of whatever you commit most of your day to. So you have so much depth as a person that you should now try to explore those different parts of yourself, whether that is within work or outside of work, having additional things to add to your day to spice up your life, whether that's a way to exercise, that's a way to intellectually stimulate you, whether that's a certain passion that you're excited about. For example, I've started learning French outside of work, and it's a way to integrate some of my passions for school back into my daily routine. So there's so many things that we can do both inside of work and outside of work. It's a matter of just not only seeing your free time as a way to distract yourself or as a fleeting source, but rather a way to continue to explore yourself as a person.
Kyleigh Stubbs with us, and we're talking about her 52 questions. One comes out every week, and you can just search kyleighstubbs.substack.com and find the other questions if this is the first time you're hearing us talk about this. But this week's question, how do you get out of a slump? Because it's pretty easy to get into one, especially at this time of year where we're waiting for spring and the freeze thaw is going to come. So small things, sure. Kyleigh, you also mentioned doing something big. What would you look at there that could really assist in getting out of a slump if it's something big?
Yeah, so small habits over time are great if you have the power of consistency. But some people can struggle with that. And to kind of jolt yourself out of a routine that you're unhappy with, sometimes you need to just shock your system and try and chase something really big that excites you. And this can feel daunting, but like I said in the Substack, that's the point. It should feel daunting. It's a big undertaking. You should feel challenged. And I think the shock to the system is great if you're in a time in your life where you're feeling a bit low, you're not really feeling passionate about much of the ways that you spend your time, and you want to go chase something that's generating some excitement within you, where maybe that's a little bit of nervous excitement, but that's great because at the end of whatever achievement you're chasing, you may feel even better if you were a little bit concerned of whether or not you were able to actually achieve that goal you're setting up from. And this is something where I find a lot of people are on that running wave now. They want to go chase the half marathon goal, the 5K goal, whatever it is. And I think this is very much reflective of the shock to the system goal, where you're going from maybe the couch to a 21K in the next 6 months. And that might feel super daunting. That requires a lot of change to your habits, your daily life, your priorities. But that is great because that's giving you a clear, structured approach and a clear direction of this new life that is now opening up for you. And the step of just showing up and committing to that goal can be enough to provoke something new within you and ultimately get you out of a slump because, hey, you've just opened up a new door into a new life for yourself.
I love this because it also says it's okay to get into slumps. I mean, they're pretty much inevitable, right?
Mhm. Exactly. And I feel like having certain paths that you know work for you, because at the end of the day, life has ups, life has downs. It throws stuff at you that you're never anticipating. You're going to get into situations where you're not necessarily loving every single day, but it's the importance of being self-aware and knowing that you have the autonomy to change that, whether that is through consistent action or through a shock to the system and a new goal that you want to chase. But like everything, there are exceptions. And I think this is also really important to keep in mind where when you're feeling low, that's okay. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that you are like, oh, absolutely not. I'm not allowed to feel bad. I'm not allowed to feel tired. That's not true. You don't necessarily have to rely on your grit or the power within you to just change every time you feel sad. But it's a rather taking the time to internalize that, knowing that you want to make a change, and then making that change in whatever way you think is sustainable for yourself.
Fantastic. Kyleigh, thanks for this.
Thank you so much.